Can your bank account be a playground for fraudsters? You might think not, but let's delve into a recent case that has raised some unsettling questions.
Neo Moreki was left distraught after he was defrauded of his 2 billion rand road accident fund payout. A 2019 car accident in Klerksdorp left him unable to work as his skull is cracked and he now has to frequent hospitals for treatment.
All the time, every week,
Due to the accident, I have recurring headaches. In winter, my spine and right leg ache frequently. I'm not able to grab or handle a lot of things with my hands, and I'm often not able to do anything, especially in winter. And I have 4 children with 2 at school and 2 at crèche. They need uniform and they need something to eat as they can't study on an empty stomach.
Picture this. A 33-year-old individual rightfully receives a hefty payout from the road accident fund, only to find it's been siphoned off into what's known as a decoy account.
A 16-year-old suspect in whose account the money was deposited and her recruiter have since been arrested for fraud. Despite this, Nobela attorneys who claim to have lost the money while transferring it into Neo Moreki's account are now suing Standard Bank and its affiliates for the negligent handling of the money.
Now, you may ask, what's a decoy account? Well, it's essentially a ruse, an account set up to divert funds away from their intended destination, often playing a central role in fraudulent activities. And who's caught up in the middle of this? Standard Bank.
We believe this has a reputational damage to our firm and then the entire legal fraternity. So we believe it's very, very much important to prove that it's not the profession that is corrupt, but maybe some institutions that are interrelated with the profession.
They've confirmed they're opposing a lawsuit related to the incident, suggesting they dispute their responsibility in this matter. This situation spotlights the security measures, or perhaps the lack thereof, in place for handling large financial transactions and the accountability of financial institutions in cases of suspected fraudulent activity.
The Road Accident Fund says it is investigating and might reimburse the victim at the conclusion.
The unfolding of this case puts the spotlight on the security of our financial transactions and the role of banking institutions. When one falls, does it not ripple across the pond? Indeed, this case of fraud is not an isolated incident, but a drop in the ocean of financial misconduct.
According to the Banking Ombudsman 2022 annual report, 47,818 banking fraud cases were reported,
sending shockwaves across our financial ecosystem. The individual's predicament sheds light on the potential risks lurking beneath the surface of large financial transactions. Whether it's a significant payout from a fund or a hefty inheritance, these transactions can become targets for fraudsters.
Indeed, there is a recourse. The case is obviously referred back to us, and we work very well with the law enforcement agencies, including the Hawks, the SIU, and NPA.
The decoy account in this case served as a diversion, a wolf in sheep's clothing, siphoning funds away from their rightful destination.
And what happens is we end up having to pay the claimants, but obviously it takes a long time.
Financial institutions like Standard Bank play a crucial role in this landscape. They are the guardians of our financial transactions, the gatekeepers standing between us and potential fraud. But what happens when the guardians are called into question? It raises serious concerns about the security measures in place to protect these transactions. It's like a game of chess, where the king, in this case our funds, are left vulnerable. Legal proceedings in such cases are akin to navigating a labyrinth. They involve unraveling the knots of fraudulent activities, investigating the circumstances surrounding the diversion of funds,
In a statement, Standard Bank says they have zero tolerance of any acts of criminality, they are complying with all lawful investigations, and that they are opposing the lawsuit by Nobela attorneys on behalf of Neo Moreki based on the facts of the matter.
And determining liability among the parties involved. It's like solving a jigsaw puzzle where each piece represents a different aspect of the fraud. In this case, the bank, the beneficiary, and potentially implicated third parties are all pieces of this puzzle. Each has a role to play, and each has a responsibility to bear. Unraveling these threads is a complex and protracted process, demanding a careful and thorough examination of the facts.
Investigations are done, and we've had convictions, by the way, that are done. But in this case, obviously, we will have to go back to the drawing board with our forensics investigation department, as well as our operation departments, to investigate.
This case underscores the significance of robust financial security protocols. It's a stark reminder of the need for a fortress around our assets, particularly in high-value transactions involving large sums of money. Like a lighthouse in a storm, these protocols guide us safely through the turbulent waters of financial transactions. Each case of fraud unravels a thread in the complex tapestry of our financial security.
Nobela attorneys denied any culpability in the fraud and says it is paying a monthly stipend to the victim.
It exposes the vulnerabilities in our systems, reminding us of the importance of vigilance and due diligence in safeguarding our assets. For when one thread unravels, it threatens the integrity of the entire tapestry. When the alarm bells ring, who answers the call? We find ourselves pondering this question as we delve deeper into the implications of the news report on road accident fund fraud aired by SABC News.
Offenses Timo, SABC News, Vanderbijlpark.
It's not too far-fetched to draw a correlation between the airing of this report and the lawsuit filed against Standard Bank. The timing seems more than coincidental, doesn't it? Now let's consider the ripple effects this case could have on the broader landscape.
I find it very difficult to accept an allegation that attorneys are dishonest when payments are made incorrectly by the RAF, duplicate payments.
The Road Accident Fund, for one, is likely to face increased scrutiny.
The Legal Practice Council, as you hear, refuting claims that these 102 law firms were paid twice by the Road Accident Fund.
It says that out of that number, only 13 firms were taken through the council's disciplinary process. It's Gauteng Provincial Director Ignatius Briel who says it's not easy for lawyers to identify double payments that have been made to them by the Road Accident Fund.
The reported fraud could potentially lead to calls for improved security measures to prevent similar incidents in the future. Moving on to the banking sector, this incident serves as a stark reminder of the accountability financial institutions hold. It's not just about facilitating transactions, it's about safeguarding the hard-earned money of individuals and ensuring it reaches its rightful destination without falling prey to fraudulent activities. Lastly, let's not forget the regulatory authorities. They play an instrumental role in setting the rules of the game. This case might prompt them to tighten regulations, augmenting the current systems in place to detect and prevent fraud. In the face of fraud, awareness is our first line of defense. As we continue to navigate through the complexities of this case, let's remember that knowledge and vigilance are our best weapons. Stay tuned as we explore what lies ahead on the road to justice. In the aftermath of fraud, where do we go from here?
Team, we engaged with the attorney. So you must also realize that there's a process. It's not simply a question of, because the RAF said that the attorney has done something wrong, we should now suspend or strike the attorney. It does not work like that.
The Road Accident Fund, alongside the Hawks and the Special Investigating Unit, have taken swift action in response to this case. Their forensic investigations are working tirelessly to track and prosecute those involved, sending a clear message that such misconduct will not be tolerated. But this is only the beginning. It's a wake-up call that illustrates the importance of continued vigilance in our financial transactions, especially those involving significant sums of money. It's a reminder of the potential risks lurking in the shadows and the necessity for us to strengthen our defenses against them. We need to ensure that our security measures are robust, that they can withstand the cunning and craftiness of those who seek to exploit them. We must demand transparency from our financial institutions, holding them accountable for their actions, or in some cases, their inactions. But above all, we must remember that this is a collective effort. It's not just about the banks, or the regulatory authorities, or the victims of these fraudulent schemes. It's about all of us, working together to safeguard our financial security. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about the money, it's about trust, it's about fairness, it's about creating a system that works for everyone, not just a select few. Navigating the road ahead requires a collective effort to safeguard our financial security.